This camera's trash. You're obviously just acting like it's the best thing on earth because you went on a press trip. My Sony a6400 can do all of this. Well, this is what happens when your mom breastfeeds you too much. Your dressing gown awaits for your return. Mama's gonna love this. I already know all of you guys just want to see the damn rolling shutter on this, so let's just get it over with. I'm a real filmmaker. 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 There's your rolling shutter results. Let's move on now. This is actually S1R2. Jericho's actually filming with the S1II with the DZO Arles Lustre, but just pretend this is the S1II. This is one of those cameras that I find it's so good that it's boring, and it just makes me want to not talk about the fucking camera and just go be creative. That's why Jericho and we made that little short film last night. I came with the idea. Jericho came right over. We filmed it in 5 hours. I'll go more over and we'll show some BTS at the end of the video and talking about how the camera performs with that. But before we get into all that, let's go over what makes the new Lumix S1II so special and unique first. You guys, this is the first mirrorless camera that could do 3x2 full frame open gate all the way up to 60 frames per second. No line skipping, none of that. We're getting full image quality out of it. There's only a few cinema cameras that can even do that, but there was no mirrorless cameras that could do that until now. And something that I requested to Lumix last year finally made it into the camera, and that's a 4x3 mode. We'll get more into that later, but it just goes to prove Lumix actually listens to all of us. Look at my notes, because there's a lot of new things here. So we also have a new DGO mode. RE log will be coming in a future firmware to the S1R2 and the S1II and the S1IIe. We're also getting some of the best dynamic range that Lumix has ever gotten before, thanks to the new stacked sensor. Some of you guys might be guessing what sensor it is already. And we're even getting USB-C streaming now. So Crop Top Terry is gonna be really happy with that. All right, guys, let's start with the sensor. We have a new 24 megapixel stacked sensor. And don't worry, I am working on a S1R2 versus S1II comparison. That should be out in a week or two, hopefully. But as I said, we have a new 24 megapixel partial stacked sensor. So anybody who's filming cheetahs in your mom's basement, you're gonna be able to get way faster readout now, so you can stop bitching and crying about the S1R2 having bad rolling shutter, because now we have the S1II. So some of you guys are probably already guessing what sensor this is. I could confidently say I'm pretty sure it's the same sensor that's in the Nikon Z6 III. The Nikon Z6 III, it's an amazing camera, but if you do not overexpose it in high contrast scenarios, you're gonna get a lot of noise on that sensor. Luckily, so far from my experience, we don't have that issue with the new S1II, especially when you go into the DGO mode. Something that a lot of people don't understand is just because it's the same sensor does not mean it's the same capabilities. Because there's multiple ways that you could push a sensor between how you power it, how much power you put into it, how you keep it cool, and the processor that you pair with it. There's a million ways to crank out even more image quality out of the sensor, which is kind of what Lumix did with this partially stacked 24 megapixel sensor. All right, guys, so similar how the S1R2 has their dynamic range expansion mode, we now have a dynamic range boost mode. It's essentially taking the low gain output and the high gain signals, and it's combining them into one. So our base ISOs on the S1II are usually 640 and 5000. When you put into the boost mode though, your base ISO is 1000. You don't have a dual base because again, it's combining those two gain outputs and it's putting it in one image. So you're gonna get an extra stop of dynamic range, and more importantly, you're gonna get even better noise performance. You're gonna get cleaner shadows out of it. Now for both of these modes on both the S1R2 and the S1II, I call them the tripod modes. I know everybody bitches about, oh, the rolling shutter gets worse. Duh, it's a different feature to help you. So I call it the tripod mode because anytime the camera's not doing any type of movement, I immediately put it into those modes because again, I'm gonna get better noise performance and dynamic range. You get a little bit better color fidelity because the bit depth is gonna be increased and all that. This is what I love about Lumix is they're doing all these little tricks and everything, packing their cameras jam full of like all these features, yet the camera still doesn't feel congested. Again, Lumix is really looking out for the creators. It's not purely just business of like, oh, we got to get them to buy this so they could get this and don't put this feature in this because then they won't buy this. They're really looking out for us. Well, when we were driving down here, I got real excited because it's a gorgeous freaking day. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to fly my drone and get some cool shots. Well, once again, I forgot it. I promise I'm not doing this on purpose, but guess what? Now, this segment's sponsored by Storyblocks. All right, guys, there may or may not be a new drone that just came out, and guess what? It most likely won't be landing in the States. This is why Storyblocks is becoming more and more important for me. Anytime I miss a shot, I immediately just go to storyblocks.com. I originally had the monthly subscription, but I switched over to the annual yearly subscription because I've been using it so much. But with that subscription, I'm able to get access to their full library with unlimited downloads. They also have templates, music, sound effects, images, and a whole bunch more. But you guys saw that drone shot that was in the intro of this video. That's from Storyblocks, and all their footage is high quality, so I was still able to grade it and push it and make it match the rest of my footage still. More importantly though, Storyblocks has a special collection of authentic stories made by real humans that they purposely teamed up with. None of that AI stuff. It's real people, real stories, real emotions. In fact, Storyblocks' entire library is made by real humans that they teamed up with. I am proud to be sponsored by Storyblocks, especially since they are working with real people. But yeah, if you want to get rolling with unlimited stock media downloads, you click on this link. It's storyblocks.com/CamMackey, or just click the link in the description. Now, let's get back into our OpenGate. Now, I know a lot of people think OpenGate isn't necessary, but a lot of those people tend to have never actually tried OpenGate. And I know that because once you try it, it's hard to go back to a camera that doesn't have it. And I know I'm the anamorphic shill here on YouTube, but OpenGate is much more important than just for anamorphic shooters. Now, if you're a working professional, I guarantee you probably have had to deliver some vertical content. I know it sucks. That's kind of what, if you're a working professional or freelancer, that's kind of what the name of the game has become. But with that, OpenGate just makes your life easier. And I guarantee you, when you don't have OpenGate, it is a bitch to have to frame up for 16:9 and 9:16. That's what OpenGate really, really, really helps you with. Now, the issue with OpenGate is the few cameras that actually offer us OpenGate recording only do it up to 30 frames per second. So anytime when we need it to go into higher frame rates, you have to go back into 16:9 mode. That might have to lead you to do a lens change, and then you have to recompose and blah, 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 blah. So again, the S1II is now fixing this because we're getting that 60 FPS in the full readout. It might go to a lower resolution, but still downsampling that 6K sensor into it. So there's no pixel bending or any of that. The footage that you guys are seeing right now, I met up with some old friends when we were in Austin and we did a little photo shoot. If you guys want to see the stills photography end of it, let me know and I'll do a whole video about that. But you guys are seeing, I was able to use those Blazar Mantis 1.33x anamorphics, get a final 2:1 final crop ratio, and full frame OpenGate. 60 frames per second. Like I've been lusting over any type of camera that was capable of doing this. The last camera I tried that kind of got close to that was the Red Raptor X Z mount, but that's even shorter than a traditional full frame 3x2 sensor. It's longer than a traditional full frame sensor, but it's shorter. So even that sensor is not giving you the full capacity of your anamorphic full frame lenses. This camera is. This is like truly, I hope you guys really understand. This is like next level shit here. And we're getting it inside of this little hybrid mirrorless camera. This is when haters start being like, oh, stop talking about gear and trying to sell us all this shit. You idiot. This is crazy. This isn't me trying to be at the ShamWow skid marks in your underpants as you're living in your mom's basement again. This is truly exciting shit. I'm excited about this. I am passionate about this because for over a decade, I'm fucking wanting gear like this. And now we have it. It's here. Stop crying, you little let's talk about 4x3 mode and what's gonna be handy for. We're gonna take this Arles Lustre from DZO lens off of here. We're gonna put an anamorphic lens onto there so you can better see what we're talking about. About almost a year ago, when I was speaking to one of Lumix's engineers, I told him we desperately need a 6x5 or 4x3 mode, purely for 2x anamorphics. Now, some of you guys might not fully understand what that means. They kind of hounded me on like, why would you want that? And I explained to them, for instance, on the Blackmagic Pixis, there's a 6.5 mode on there. So basically you get the full vertical full frame height, but it crops into 6.5 off the sides. Now, why would you want to use that? You specifically would want that for 2x anamorphics. So right now we are in 3x2 full frame open gate mode right now on 2x anamorphic. It's extra wide. Once we do our final 2:3:5:1 final crop ratio, which that's like the traditional anamorphic crop ratio. So every time you go see a movie that's an anamorphic, that tends to be the crop. So in 3x2 open gate mode and 2x anamorphic, you still get a little extra footage on the sides. Now, some people like that because once you crop into that final deliverable crop, you can kind of shift the image around side to side because you have a little extra footage to play with. I don't like doing that personally. I like shooting it in camera, in frame, exactly how I want it. And I don't want the extra space on the side. I'd rather crop into it. Now, before we go to the new 4x3 mode, this is your full frame 16:9 mode. So now you can see we're getting the same width as a 3x2 mode, but we're cropping off the top and the bottom. So in post, you have to go and crop into your image and you have even more extra sides on there. So that's why the 3x2 open gate is so important, especially when you're using 1.5, 1.6, 1.8 anamorphics. All those are gonna be perfect for a 3x2 open gate sensor readout mode. I'll link a video down below that I actually worked on for Lumix to really showcase the power of open gates for anamorphic shooting. So now let's go into the new 4x3 mode. You guys are going to see how special this is. So now we're in the 4x3 mode and it is downsampling the 6K into a 4.8K, but you can see we're still getting the same vertical height that we're getting in this 3x2 mode, but now we have less of the added sides onto there. So when we go and do our final crop, having to crop way less. And so in camera, you're able to compose more similar to what your final crop ratio will be. More importantly, if you're someone like me, again, I love Lumix camera so much because I can shoot 2x anamorphics in the open gate 4x3 or 3x2 modes and not need an external monitor because we're getting all the extra width. So in the 4x3 mode, it's gonna just make your image just a little bit more larger from the back of the screen. Again, this is Lumix listening. Even during the presentation that Matt was giving, he's one of the engineers over at Lumix, he even said, you could thank Cam Mackey for this. This is what's so powerful with Lumix is when you guys in the comments come up with good ideas or you have really constructive critiques, we are able to communicate that with these brands. Now, majority of the times, the brands don't listen. If they do, it literally takes them years and years and years, and they have all these excuses and blah, blah, blah. Lumix is really able to work very nimble for even just features like this. So now we are back on the DZO Arles Lustres and the 4x3 mode. What this is going to be amazing for, I mean, obviously, you know, these DZO Arles Lustres, let's talk about them real quick. Originally, when I saw them at NAB, they have this beautiful like bronze gold coating. And you guys know I am a douchebag and I like cool looking things. These things look fucking cool. But not only just do the housings look cool, the coatings on the element has this gold reflection to it. So these are basically the DZO Arles, but these are a new version. These are like more of the retro line. So you guys are seeing this gold coating. It reminds me of Kodak Gold. Kodak Gold has like this browning to the shadows. So, you know, when I'm shooting with like my Leica MP with Kodak Gold, I love it because in post, I could pump some teal colors into there. And the way it creates like this really matted, thick shadow type look, I'm getting that with this same setup. You guys are seeing my new Rambler LUTs built on top of this right now. And you can see it's just, there's something magical about this combination here. Even with the 4x3 mode, in combination with these Arles Lustres and the vintage look that they're giving, this is just a beautiful filmic look. The reason I was asking Lumix to do this was for anamorphic. It's also gonna be great for anybody who wants to do more of that retro look. So you guys saw Jericho and I do the intro film for this. I have another little short that I wrote that we're gonna film. We're gonna film it with this same exact setup. Most likely in the 4x, we'll maybe do the 3x2 or 4x3 mode, we'll see, because it's gonna be kind of set in the 90s. That's what I'm gonna love about these lenses is doing, you know, some 90s, 70s inspired short films. I'm really excited about this mode, these lenses, my new LUTs, not just because they're my own LUTs and I'm selling them, but just because the combination is truly I've done so many anamorphic videos now. We already know how great Lumix is. So again, let me know if you guys want to see that. But real quick, as we're rolling right now, we're going to switch out lenses so you guys can see. Again, we're on the DZL Arles Lustre. So let's put on this Blazar Mantis 35mm, and we'll do this live. So what's going to be exciting about the new S1II now, so now you guys can see we are filming on the Blazar Mantis 35mm. This is a 1.33x anamorphic with 2x anamorphic bokeh. I just put a video out this weekend. I'll put a link in the description so you guys could check it out. Secretly, a lot of it was filmed on this S1II that we're filming on right now. The big thing that the S1II is going to fix with anamorphics is the readout speed. A lot of people aren't aware of this, but when you film on anamorphics, it's obviously stretching your image. So if a camera has, intense rolling shutter, it's also going to stretch out that intense rolling shutter. So now that we finally have a Lumix camera with faster readout, I'm guessing it's going to be anywhere from like 11 to 16 milliseconds, which is totally usable. I'm excited to watch Shoutout Dunn's video. I didn't find an issue with this last video with the S1II. He was just speaking facts. People are just waiting to rush down to the mom's basement again and start being keyboard warriors. I'm excited to see what the numbers are going to be. But again, when it comes to anamorphics, this faster readout is really just going to help us as anamorphic filmmakers. On top of that, the new 4x3 mode. So if you're filming on 2x anamorphics, we already went over this. It's going to be amazing for it. All right, guys, in order to show how damn good Lumix's IBIS is, we have the IBIS turned off right now. There's no physical IBIS or electronic IBIS turned on right now. We have the DZL Arles Lustre on there and a V-mount battery, so there is some weight, so that's definitely going to help stabilize the footage even though the IBIS is off. Jericho's pretty capable, so he knows what he's doing. Again, we're on spherical. Even for anamorphics, this will apply as well. All right, guys, now we have IBIS turned on now, and you guys can see the difference. We do have a cinema lens on there, so we're gonna turn on the standard stabilization here in a moment. But if you have a native L-mount lens, they have a cropless electronic stabilization. So you're not gonna lose any, field of view, but you're still gonna get how good the electronic stabilization is. But again, when adapting cinema lenses, you don't get that. But let's show you the electronic stabilization. You're gonna see there's still just a very minimal crop, but man, it really helps out with stuff like this. All right, guys, now we have the standard electronic stabilization on. So you're gonna see a little bit of a crop, but it's gonna make a night and day difference with the stabilization. You probably really saw it right there. I'm trying to talk and show what we're doing here at the same time. All right, guys, now we're in the high mode on electronic stabilization. This does do a bigger crop. I don't know what the exact magnification is, but I'll put it on the screen. But you can see this is gonna, again, if you forgot your gimbal or anything like that, this is gonna save you. Jared, if you want to pan out to the road real quick. So you guys can see the stuff that we're going through right now. It is, this is the smoothest part that we've been on. Yeah, this is the smoothest. Okay, here's some more bumpy stuff again. So yeah, that's the stabilization. All right, guys, let me show you the setup that I will be using into the future now. Yes, this is going to become most likely my main camera now because it's just, this is everything I've ever wanted, honestly. I'm rocking Tilta's new S1R2 and S1II cage. They did a freaking amazing job on this. Fits incredibly snug onto the camera and it just stays out of your way. It's incredibly light. They designed a new way of this locking, so it locks right here. And it also locks onto this side on both of the strap connector pieces, wherever it's called. Sadly, it does not have a NATO rail built in on top. So you have to put your own NATO rail. A lot of cage systems do that. It's kind of annoying, but they did a little cutout right here. So the Mofage Poco can finally fit on here without having to grind it off. Let me remove my focus motor real quick, just so you guys can see this. So you can see right here, we still have a little NATO rail piece right here. So if you need the NATO rail on the side, you got a little chunk right here that you can still bite onto. But you guys can see that the Mofage Poco clears perfectly now. I'm beyond excited that they included that in on there. This piece will allow you to put a rod mount on there, so you could put your focus motor on here if you're going to be shooting some manual anamorphics like I'm doing right now. Bounce back and forth between the Tilta focus motors and the DJI focus motors. It depends like what I'm doing and if I'm using the LiDAR or not. You can see with this, I just got this little Anchor battery bank and the USB-C part just comes out and I'm able to plug it directly into that focus motor and that's my power right there. So not the most robust solution. I hope somebody can figure out a better way to doing this. I know the small rig focus motors, you can put NPF, but even that's clunky and kind of tacky looking. So this is the DJI SDR system. Obviously, you can use smaller NPF batteries, which sometimes I do, and other times I just don't want to hassle with the battery dying, so I would just use this. Again, this starts making it a little bit clunky if you're just trying to film yourself. This is kind of an annoying setup here, but you know, you got to do what you got to do to get those higher end looking results. Yeah, I'll just take one of these little mini magic arms from Small Rig. I think Tilta has some too. I'll just take out one of these ports, screw that on, and there you go. Last thing that I obviously didn't mention is the Mofage Poco rear VND L to PL mount adapter. This thing is glued to majority of my cameras. It just makes life so much more easier. And now we're getting clouds again. This basically gives you built-in NDs into your system. You can see I have no front NDs on here. There's a little wheel right here, and this is how you can change the level of the VND. Last little few bits to go over here that's kind of important to mention. We now have USB-C streaming. I do believe it'll be coming to the S1R2 and the S1II as well. Crop top Cherry Warfield's gonna be really excited about that. We've all been screaming about it, but he's been the loudest about it. For the photo end of this camera, the S1R2's basically like my dream camera, 45 megapixels or 44 or whatever. Lot support in the stills mode, so I could bake in my own look. I'm a megapixel snob. So with this only being 24 megapixels, I'm probably not going to use it much, but I know the electronic shutter is really quick in this, and it does like 70 FPS or some shit. I don't know. I don't care because, again, high megapixel snob. I already know Manny Ortiz is probably going to do a video focusing on stills with this camera, so when his video is out, I'll be sure to link it in the description for you guys. But anyways, Lumix is really stepping it up. You know, all their cameras before the S1R2 and now the S1II were using vintage sensors, and it's just really exciting to see them now having access to some of the latest and greatest sensors, and they're giving us all these freaking features without congesting the camera. It's kind of wild. We are truly spoiled. Oh, the price is gonna be around $32. That's before tariffs. One little tidbit, I know Kofi's probably gonna do a whole video or a segment on this in his video. Go check out Kofi's video. I don't want to give away too much, but basically Kofi did a thread post asking people with pretty much the same features in the S1II, if it was a Sony camera, how much they would pay for it. Go check out his video if you want to see what they said, because anybody who's going to complain about this camera, once you see that and what people are willing to pay for it, if there's a Sony logo on this, there's not much room to complain. So that's all I'll say. Again, for $3,200, you're getting full frame 3x2 open gate up to 60 frames per second. You're going to be getting RE log. You're going to get external B-roll. I didn't even touch on that yet. External B-roll. You're going to get a lot of other stuff. Okay, you guys get it. I'm over this. We're having fun just using this camera, just throwing it into the mix, getting it going on these shoots, whether it's stupid YouTube videos like this or more intentional, high risk, you know, really inspirational type stuff for ourselves. This camera, it's going to do everything. Now, I'm just rambling at this point. Check out my Rambler. All right. Cool.